It's pretty sad to know that we're living in a year where you can't just write a story. You can't just create an experience you want someone else to have, because if you do, you might be deemed a racist. Now, a lot of you guys already know this, but when it comes to the internet, there's always someone outraged about literally everything. Even if their complaints are small, they still exist. And I try to highlight a lot of situations regarding outrage in the gaming industry, but we've got yet another instance of people getting very mad on the internet because they're saying a team of developers are racist because they made a game about Native Americans and never hired any Native American developers for the project. Now, really quickly before we get into the topic at hand, I just want to say that YouTube's been heavily suppressing my channel lately, so if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, go to my Twitter and Minds and share the link to this video because it really does help. And if you want to support the channel even further, consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon. I appreciate all of the support. This Land is My Land game faces blacklist attempt from Outrage Mob. Am I really surprised here that these group of people on Twitter are angry again at a video game for being what they deem as racist? No, of course not. But am I disappointed in it? Yes, of course. People should be able to create the games that they want and not be attacked over it. So it says another video game is facing backlash from online activists who have taken up causes relating to politics, history, and race and are trying to impose their points of view as the gaming industry standards. You would think that this game is new, you would think that that's why there's a lot of outrage because this game is finally releasing. Maybe there's been, a little bit of outrage before leading up to its launch, but no, that's actually not the case because it says the independent 4-person developer team Game Labs released the game in early access on Steam back in 2019, but it took a while for an online mob to assemble and angrily attack the game because it dares to touch the topic of Native Americans. So first of all, this is pretty impressive. The game looks relatively good for a 4-person developer team, and if we go to Steam, the game actually has pretty damn positive reviews. It is sitting at a mostly positive review score, and there are a lot of people on it already saying, I purchased it because of the fake outrage. Someone said Twitter sucks. Another person said not offended on behalf of others. So this is obviously going to backfire on the woke people who are mad, who wanted it canceled. We can tell that your outrage is fake, or else you would have been mad at it when it released in 2019, but no, they're only getting mad over it right now. Someone said bought it because people I don't like said not to play the game. So far, after 29 minutes, I don't care. All I care about is making sure the woke's attempt to cancel this thing backfires. If we scroll down, there are so many people, supporting it. There are a couple of dislikes from people that genuinely played it. People saying it's too slow, spent hours gathering resources for no progress, which are legitimate concerns if you've played the game, but these people obviously wanted to just play the game and they didn't just give it a dislike because, oh my gosh, it hurt my feelings, or oh my goodness, it's offensive. So continuing on, it says the argument that many, including famed author and Nobel Prize winner Kazuo Ishiguro, have rejected as dangerous, namely that one can only create from the point of view of one's own identity, appears here, as well as some of the all-caps calls to boycott the game, noting that there are no indigenous people on the dev team. Now look, I talked about this when it happened, and I agree with what this author is saying. We're getting to the point where you can't just write stories based on history or stories about someone that's from a different culture than yours, or else you'll get canceled, and I think that that's absolutely disgusting. So it says, for reasons not immediately apparent, the developers are also insulted and harassed as extremely racist, while their game is said to be built around racist stereotypes. So this person that is a Twitch streamer a YouTube creator, Shauna Baker, said, "Dear Twitch streamers and gamers, please do not play, stream, or support this game." TLIML, which is, the land is my land official, couldn't even hire a single native person for this game. They instead decided to appropriate our culture while making up native tribes and saying it's okay because they researched us. Now it says Game Labs, for their part, offer extensive explanation of the game and the thought process behind it on their FAQ page, including that it is not a simulation while the player assumes the role of a Native American chieftain trying to fend off European settlers from taking over the land. Clearly, the people who are outraged about this didn't even do their research, couldn't even go to the official website for this game to see what it's all about. And of course, I'm sure that they didn't even play it because they're going to say, don't spend your money on this game, don't support it. So they're not even giving it a fair chance to see the content in the title. As you can see, the outrage mobs on Twitter are saying things like they didn't even hire a single Native American person for this, but even if you got a Native American person on your team for this game, they weren't alive when this game is taking place, so why does it mean that they're more qualified than someone who isn't Native American? They're talking about getting the experience of a person from that culture, but there's no one alive today that lived then. It would all be learned from history books, and that's the key here, learned. There's no one alive today that they could consult with directly who had these experiences directly, so why shouldn't someone else be able to learn about a situation too and make a game with what they've learned when anyone now would need to learn about those events? I think that it's great that people are willing to, learn more about this and learn about the past and make games based on events because it means they did do their research, and in this case, they're trying to make a game that people will learn from. Now, I want to head over to Twitter to This Land Is My Land's official Twitter account, and on their newest post, there are some people saying absolutely disgusting things, of course, calling these developers racist, basically saying, you should cancel your game, this shouldn't exist. So the first comment says, you need to destroy this game, apologize, pay reparations to indigenous people, and educate yourselves. Anything less than that will destroy any hope you have of careers for being decent people. All these developers are trying to do is make a video game. Why can't they just make a video game about a situation they felt passionate enough to talk about? Someone said, did you know you can delete this game and work on not being racist? Again, just because they want to create a game about indigenous people and none of them are indigenous doesn't mean that they're these racist, terrible, disgusting people. Scrolling down, someone said, reminder, this company uses this as an excuse as to why they have 0 natives on their team. Someone said, then put out a fucking hiring call then, dumbass. And they responded, or a developer, or at least someone on their Discord said, to each Native American in the world. It says, but they can put it on the net, on Twitter. Every one of us is speaking up as a potential outlet to boost the signal in a good way. If we will call you out, then we will call them in. Pathetic excuse. Do better. Gaming is for all. Even if they hired a Native American person to be part of this development team, people would probably still be mad because they're still making a game about Native Americans. They'd still find some kind of excuse to be mad. It will never be enough to these outrage mobs. Someone said there's nothing wrong with admitting that you've done something wrong. If you truly care about uplifting Native voices and resistance, you have to listen to them and not shut them out. I'm gonna be honest, let's just look at how many people are outraged. How many of these people are Native American? You're not telling me that every single one of these people are Native American and that's why they're upset. We're talking about people online that get offended for other groups of people. If one person is one race or ethnicity, you're telling me they can never understand what someone of another race or ethnicity went through, or they can never learn about the history of what a different culture they're not from went through, because this is all history. We're not even talking about current events, and I'm not saying that with current events we can't learn from each other, but this is all history that anyone would need to learn about. People learn best when they're having fun, so if it takes a video game to get people to learn about things like this, why would you be against it existing just because they didn't hire hire a Native American to work on it. It's a video game. People are going to have fun with it, and people might actually learn a thing or two from it. How many Native Americans have spoken against this game? How many Native Americans are actually offended by this game? It's just more people on social media running to defend a group of people who didn't express horror over it. Scrolling down, there are still a lot of people who are upset, but there are quite a lot of people who are defending the situation now, defending these developers, and I think that that's great. I think that more and more people need to defend developers' rights to be able to create what they want. Someone had actually said, never heard of this game, but I want to buy it because of all of the annoying people whining about it. I agree. I've seen so many people say that they're going to purchase it now, or that they have purchased it, basically just to support these developers, to reassure them that, hey, you shouldn't be listening to outrage on social media by people who are literally outraged about everything. I mean, honestly, what's next? What does this lead to? The only people who can teach different eras of history in high school or college are people that are only from those cultures or ethnicities? Doesn't this just destroy the entire idea of learning history in the first place? I think that this situation is just absolutely ridiculous. We're seeing more and more people being outraged just to find something to be mad about online. But let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Are you going to purchase this game now, or are you just going to not purchase it and just leave it alone? If you enjoyed this video though, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.